für richtig hältst. Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich...
And now I'm gonna masturbate to this stream.
Hello, and welcome to James, the Lesser Express Lane, where we get you in and out as fast as possible with... Shortly after finishing the Street Fighter stream, I've decided I'd check in on DSP, see what he's bitching about today. Well, here we go. What it is about Neil Druckman, I just don't know, but let's watch.
Let me actually, hold on, let me fix my camera because I'm tiny. Let me fix this before we do the story.
You can see here, Neil Druckman says, Last of Us Part 3 might not happen. I guess the only thing I would say is don't bet on there being more Last of Us. This could be it. I mean, the second one wasn't very well received. It wasn't as bad as people said it was, but yeah. Nowhere near as good as the first.
I'm so small. There we go, that's better.
It's better for you to be
All right,
small
ready?
so we don't have to see you.
So, in an interview with Variety magazine, Neil Druckman talked a ton about his upcoming season 2 of The Last of Us TV show. And essentially, that was like the focus of the interview, okay? Now, I'm not a huge fan of these entertainment magazines, especially these Hollywood-centric media things. I'm reading the story from Variety, okay? Here it is. And it is so long-winded and wordy, and they basically beat around the bush so much. It's like, just get to the point. Why do you take so long to try to say something of any substance? They reiterate points everyone already knows. They rehash nonsense. Like, just get to a point, all right? So there's a lot of...
And yet you read it. The only way for you to know all that is if you read it. So, like, hey, they got their read on.
stuff that's said in this article. To summarize the article, The Last of Us 2 TV show is coming out soon. I think it's in the next month or two. And basically, they're outright admitting they have completely changed elements from the game to make the show work, whatever that means.
Pedro is not going to get killed. He's going to get to live. Yay.
And basically, Neil Druckman is like, he's a little worried that there may be fan backlash for the changes that were made. But at the same time, he's kind of come to peace in terms that he had to make these changes. He did this with season 1, and everyone liked it. And so I think they were saying, like, the actual, like, director of the show was convincing him, listen, no, the changes are going to be worth it. It's going to, you know. So essentially, the whole article is kind of about season 2 of The Last of Us show. I really don't give a shit about that, to be frank with you.
If you don't care, then why are you doing this? Why are you covering this? Oh, because you hate Neil Druckman.
Don't. Season 1 was just okay. Some parts were really good and almost really close to the game. Other parts couldn't have been further from the original game and were completely added on as filler content and fluff to push agendas. It's like I said, in a nutshell, I don't mind the episode that's about the side character who had a, you know, gay relationship with a guy and their story of how they survived for many, many years in the abandoned town and all of that. It's actually a good story. It's well acted. It's well written. It's great. It also has nothing to do with The Last of Us. It's literally wedged in there.
That character appeared in the game. That character literally appeared in the game. Oh no, they gave a character that appeared in the game more backstory? How dare they give a character more backstory? It's supposed to focus on me. Not side characters with backstories that we didn't get in the game. DSP, are you really gonna sit there and bitch that they gave a side character more backstory? Because it was homosexuals?
To say, hey, look, we're open to homosexuality and we think that this is okay. So,
but he was in the game. And then Ellie steals one of his magazines. Like, why are some of the pages stuck together?
we're going to do a whole episode about it, even though it's nothing to do with the actual story. You can literally remove that episode from season 1 of The Last of Us, watch the rest, and it's just as good, if not better, because it doesn't feel like you just watched a filler episode. Okay? Like I said, what they should have done with that episode is actually done a spin-off series of maybe here's the side characters from the show and here's their stories, and it would have been...
So they should have done an entire season of this instead of just one episode? Why, DSP? So you can skip the side seasons and only focus on the main season? Yes, DSP, they should spend $100 million hiring all new actors, new directors, new screenwriters, instead of, you know, spending a single fucking episode. Dumbass.
Fine. Instead of forcing it to be an actual episode. Like, boring. It really was. Like, I liked the story. I didn't want it in The Last of Us, okay? So what they did is kind of similar to other games and things. They're wedging in these liberal themes to try to say, oh, see, we're changing a society.
He's literally in the game. The character you were talking about, dumbass, is literally in the game. And it's part of the story of the game of how he lost his partner. And Ellie finds the magazines and looks at him. I'm just trying to see what the big deal is. Whoa, how does it walk around with something that big? It's a great part of the game. But guys, it makes me feel funny. It makes me think about how much I miss Rambo. Guys, I miss Rambo. And that episode made me think of him. Snort. I couldn't do another snort that quick.
Society more accepting now. Yeah, but what does that have to do with The Last of Us?
He's literally a character in the game. Jackass. Take a sip, you sleazy asshole.
Anyway, with that being said about season 1, I'm curious what Druckman is talking about when he's saying they had to make all these changes to season 2 and people might have issue with them, but he's not afraid of it anymore. I'm very curious. Like, what did they change? Because for those who don't know, The Last of Us 2, which is what season 2 of the show is based on, is very controversial. In the first few hours, the main character of the first game dies, okay? And he was everyone's favorite character, and he's just...
Yes, the second season, I'm sure, is going to save him. They're going to spare him. They might fake you out, be like, oh, at the end of this episode, he gets his head bashed in, but at the beginning of the next episode, or towards the middle of the next episode, it's going to turn out he was just her, he wasn't killed.
Eliminated. And then the story becomes a two-sided story of one person who was the villain, but telling her backstory, and you're being forced to play her story to understand her. And then the revenge story of Ellie, the essentially surrogate daughter or whatever of Joel, you know, and how she's going to get revenge for his murder. So it's a very, very brutal, dark, not very pleasant story about two people trying to get revenge and trying to kill each other and many others along the way. So already it's controversial. Like, really, the story is highly controversial. And a lot of people didn't like it, including me. I described The Last of Us 2 as, you know...
Guys, it's forcing me to not just play one woman, but as two women. Help! Don't they know I'm married? Neil Druckman, I'm married. How dare you make me play as not just one, but two women?
20 hours of torture porn. That's what it feels like. The entire game is miserable. At no point is there any situation where it feels like there's something that is pleasant or happy or fun. You don't get a sense of accomplishment or anything good. It's just very, very negative, very dark, very dismal stuff.
It's the end of the world, and I don't feel fine, because it's literally the end of the fucking world. It's fungal zombies. And even worse, the people. DSP. Do you think the end of the world is going to be a happy event? Do you think they're going to be throwing parties and parades and celebrating, having big concerts, celebrating the end of the world? Huh? It's dark and sad at the end of the world? You don't say.
So, with that being said, in my opinion, okay, I didn't like The Last of Us 2 because of the story. Everything else I liked. I liked the gameplay elements, the graphics, but the story wasn't very good. So this whole article being, well, we even changed the story of The Last of Us 2 to make The Last of Us Season 2. What did he change? Right? I'm very curious about this. I think we're all going to be paying attention when the show comes out. See, what did he do now, right? But in reality, that's not even the reason I'm bringing this up today. Okay, the reason I'm actually bringing this up is because at the tail end of the article, there's a few things that are brought up, okay, that are very, how can I say, interesting and or telling, and I think that we should just review them briefly. So number one, no matter who the showrunners cast as Abby, they're bound to spark controversy. The character's stacked physique and brutal story arc placed her at the center of a torrent of online vitriol when hackers leaked hours of footage from Part 2 in April of 2020. As Druckman and his co-writer Hallie Gross, the voice actors and the team at Naughty Dog scrambled through COVID isolation to make the game's June release, and Druckman continued to work on Season 1, they were inundated with anti-Semitism, misogyny, homophobia, and death threats to themselves and their families.
Now remember, DSP called the cops when he got an email threatening him. When he got an email threatening him, he called the cops. Remember this.
It's called online trolling, okay? It's called online trolling.
It's not a big deal, guys. It's just online trolling. You called the cops when you got an email threatening you. They're getting thousands, if not tens of thousands of death threats. It's just trolling, guys. It's not that serious. Can't believe they acted like it was serious, guys.
I'm amazed that in the middle of it all, we could get on a Zoom and we talk about how to make the television show. And here he was just like, okay, I'm compartmentalizing. That world goes away. Now we work on the show. I wouldn't have been able to get out of bed. So because they were getting online trolling, because they basically ruined the plot of The Last of Us with the second game and the plot leaked. They were having mental breakdowns.
You called the cops from one email.
Okay. I just want to get this straight. So you made one of the best video games of all time. Everyone loved it, right? Absolutely amazing. You decide to make a sequel that's completely different in tone, that you actually are purposefully misadvertising as having Joel as the lead when he'll be dead within hours of the game being, being playable. It's a completely different style of game, completely different tone. Your plot leaked and people are angry at you.
Yes, I remember how happy and go lucky the first one was. As he's running from the terror of the zombies attacking the city and the military shoots and kills his daughter. I just remember how happy and go lucky that game was. Holy shit, DSP. I get it. Gin's a hell of a drug. But this is crazy.
Because the plot sucks. And so they trolled you online. Now, I'm not condoning anti-Semitism, death threats, or anything like that. Okay, I'm not. But
I'm not condoning, but anything you said before but is now meaningless because you now just said but.
It's online trolling. And you can't sleep? I can't work because people said The Last of Us 2 sucks.
They were death threats by the tens of thousands. You got a single email and went screaming, crying, waddling to the cops.
Maybe it does. Did you ever think of that? That maybe when you go against everything you wrote in the first game to try to get shock value for your second game, that maybe people have a point. That maybe when you throw away something that everyone loves just because you think that it's going to get you attention, that maybe that's a bad take, that maybe that's a bad idea, that maybe people would be upset with you because of it. Maybe you should see how upset people are and be like, oh, fuck, we made a big mistake. Instead, he literally did the opposite. During 2020, Druckman came out publicly and said, everyone that doesn't like The Last of Us 2 is a bunch of bigots. You guys are just sexist, racist. You hate everything that has to do with liberalism, basically.
That's not at all what he said. What the fuck? This is... Like, I want to give up because this is just so fucking stupid.
And because of that, if you don't like Last of Us 2, you're a bigot. If you don't buy Last of Us 2, you're a bigot. At the end of the year, I shit you not, he said this on social media. So it's the Game Awards coming up. And remember that every vote that you give for Last of Us 2 as the viewer's choice game of the year or player's choice game of the year is a strike against the bigot. So be sure to vote for Last of Us 2 to strike against bigotry. He actually fucking said that on the internet. Everyone called him out for it. And then he had to publicly apologize and withdraw his statement and say, no, vote for the game you actually think is bad.
God, you're so fucking stupid, DSP.
Yes. The problem with Neil Druckman is that not only can he not take criticism, but then he uses criticism as a scapegoat.
Pot meat fucking kettle.
To try to get more attention for himself or more success. Instead of saying, listen, The Last of Us 2 is a great game. It's a great plot. It's got great gameplay elements. Play it and enjoy it for what it is. He literally said, buy our game and make us rich because it's a feel-good movement of leftist liberalism and you're being progressive and helping the world if you buy and play our game and vote for it for Game of the Year.
He said nothing like that.
And that's the horrible thing to do. Like, that's so disingenuous. It's so dishonorable. How many game devs that year worked their ass off and also put out good games? And they now, that game's not a big bastion of liberalism, right? So anyway, this is why I don't like Druckman. It's literally not anything to do with his games. It's his attitude and the way that he behaves himself. This almost like he thinks he's better than everyone. He thinks he's smarter than everyone. He thinks he knows better than everyone. And when someone...
DSP, the projection is off the fucking charts.
criticizes him and says, no, you don't. You're not smarter. You're not better. Your ideas are bad. He then freaks out and then tries to do this rallying call of liberalism, which is stupid as shit. And it's very dishonest, okay? So now listen, I asked Druckman how he managed through this crisis. What crisis? Online trolling? He had a horrible crisis of people online telling him his game sucked because the plot was bad. That was his crisis. It's a life crisis for him. Not very well at the time, he says, sounding grim. I get hyper-fixated on stuff.
Pot meat kettle.
I get hyper-fixated on stuff. I swear I didn't put that part into the article. So when I'm alone and I have time to think, and worse, I have time to browse, that's when it gets the most dangerous. I'm starting to doubt myself. What if I did ruin it? What if I did make a piece of shit? Well, you did. No, you actually did. People rightly criticized your hackish writing, and then you freaked out. But your game actually does suck because the plot's bad. And you have to deal with that forever. It doesn't matter how many people in games journalism kissed your ass and said your game was game of the year. The plot still sucks. And now you're making an entire TV show around the plot that's...
The plot doesn't suck. The ending, the game should have given you a choice. The whole time it's, oh, you know, you get the choice here, the choice there, and number 1, choice here, and number 2. At the very end, like, nope, you don't get to make a choice here. Fuck you. They should have let you make the choice. That's my only criticism of Last of Us 2 is that the one time making a choice would make the biggest impact, and they don't let you make a choice.
That sucks. So I hope he's ready, because now it's 2025. Now the pendulum has swung 5 years later. Trump is now in the White House. And worldwide, we're seeing a conservative cultural movement. If he puts out The Last of Us Season 2, the same way he put out The Last of Us Part 2, he's got a rude fucking awakening. Because even though every critic will probably say, this is the best show I've ever seen, the common person's going to say, your show is fucking literal dog shit. It is a leftist love letter, and we don't need that. We don't want that.
A gay couple existing is not liberal love letter. And again, that gay guy was literally in the game.
Yeah. We don't want Snow White, who's Hispanic. We don't want Last of Us 2 with liberal themes. We just want normal stories again. We don't want agendas pushed down our throat every waking moment that we have. And that's where the world has gone now. So if he's nervous, he should be. He literally should be. It's not years ago anymore. Things have changed. And he may not actually get any praise for the show outside of his butt-kissing circle. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Okay, I'm fucking done with you. With that, I'll let you go. Thank you for watching. As always, like, subscribe, comment down below, and have one hell of a day.